Welcome to OOTO TV, the out of the office investigation into the present state of personal health actualization. I'm Red.
And I'm Shelby.
Welcome to the show. Today we're going to be investigating a silent threat, one that affects nearly half of all adults. And the scariest part? It can cause just devastating damage without a single warning sign. We are talking about high blood pressure, or hypertension. And we're going to give you a full guide to understanding its causes, treatments, and maybe most importantly, the critical role your diet plays in taking back control. Absolutely. We've really laid this out as a complete journey for you. First, we're going to unmask this silent killer to really get why it's so dangerous. Then we'll get you armed with the knowledge you need to fight back. That means understanding your numbers and your risks. From there, we'll get into your most powerful weapons in this fight, the incredible impact of lifestyle changes, the power you have on your plate through what you eat, and that often overlooked connections to your mind, sleep, and stress. And then we'll wrap it all up by building a personal action plan so you can walk away from this and start building a healthier future, like today. Exactly, Red. We have to start right here, because you just can't fight an enemy you don't fully get. And let me tell you, high blood pressure is one of the sneakiest opponents your health will ever face. I want you to think of it like a slow, silent leak inside a wall, right? You don't see the water, you don't hear a single drip, but day after day, it's just weakening the whole structure from the inside out. And then one day, bam, the wall collapses. That's exactly what hypertension does. It silently damages your system, usually with zero symptoms, until a major health event happens. And that nickname, it is chillingly accurate. It is not for dramatic effect at all. You can literally live with this for years, even decades, feeling totally fine, while that relentless, elevated pressure is acting like a battering ram against the delicate inner lining of your arteries. This constant force creates these tiny little tears and inflammation, which then become the perfect place for plaque to build up. This narrows your arteries, it hardens them, and it forces your heart to work harder and harder and harder, setting the stage for heart attacks, strokes, kidney failure, even dementia. And the sheer scale of this hidden epidemic it's just staggering. This number right here comes from the World Health Organization, and it estimates that 46% of adults with hypertension are completely unaware they have it. Just let that sink in for a second. Almost half. I mean, look around you right now. If you're in a room with another adult, there's a really good chance one of you is just walking around with this major risk factor and has absolutely no idea. It's a global health crisis that's hiding in plain sight. So let's get down to the mechanics of what this actually is. Really, it's just physics. Think about your circulatory system like a super complex plumbing network. Your arteries are the pipes and your heart is the pump. High blood pressure just means the force of the blood inside those pipes is consistently too high. The pressure is measured in millimeters of mercury, or mmHg. It's just a standard unit of pressure, kind of like we use pounds for weight. When that reading is consistently high, it means your heart muscle has to strain, working overtime every single second of every day just to move blood around. That chronic strain is what causes the long-term wear and tear on the entire system. And that brings us to the most crucial point, empowerment. The very first step to protecting yourself is knowledge. I mean, you can't manage what you don't measure, right? Learning to read your blood pressure numbers is like learning the language your cardiovascular system uses to talk to you about its health. This isn't just about data on a machine. It's about gaining the power to understand and actually influence your own health story. And it's a way simpler language than you might think. You're always going to see two numbers. The top number, that's your systolic pressure. It measures the peak force in your arteries at the exact moment your heart contracts or beats, pushing blood out. The bottom number is the diastolic pressure. That's the amount of force in your arteries when your heart is at rest, in between those beats. Both of these numbers are absolutely critical. They give us a complete picture of what your system is dealing with during both work and rest. And this chart here, well, this is your map. It shows you exactly where you stand. A reading below 120 over 80, that's considered normal and healthy. Great. If your top number creeps into that 120 to 129 range while the bottom is still below 80, that's elevated. Think of it as a yellow warning light. Now, you really need to pay attention here. Stage 1 hypertension starts at 130 to 139 on top or 80 to 89 on the bottom. And Red, I think it's so important to really emphasize that word or. It is, Shelby. That's a point of huge confusion for people. You do not need both numbers to be high. If just one of those numbers consistently falls into a hypertension category, that is enough to raise a red flag and be classified as high blood pressure. Stage 2 is 140 or higher, or 90 or higher, and anything above 180 over 120 is a hypertensive crisis. That means you need immediate medical attention. So that brings up the next question. what puts you at risk in the first place? The factors really fall into two different camps. There are the things we're born with or that are just beyond our control. And then there's a whole list of factors that we can absolutely do something about. So, Shelby, what are some of those things that we're kind of stuck with? That's a great way to put it, Red. On the unchangeable side, you've got age. Our arteries just naturally tend to get less flexible as we get older. Family history is a big one. If your parents or close relatives had high blood pressure, your genetic risk is higher. Certain races and ethnicities also have a higher prevalence. But, and this is the important part, the truly empowering piece of this story is that second column. The list of risks you can change is long, it's powerful, and it's directly in your hands. And that is exactly where we're going next. Because while medication is a vital and life-saving tool for so many people, we cannot overstate the power of lifestyle. I want you to think of these changes as your first and most potent line of defense. They can prevent hypertension from ever developing, they can delay the need for medication, or even reduce the dosage if you're already on it. It is truly medicine in action. You're listening to OMOTOO TV with research by author Paul Beulah. Let's start with movement. Regular aerobic exercise. It's an absolute game changer. And hey, we're not talking about training for a marathon here. The goal is about 150 minutes of moderate activity a week. Think a brisk walk, a bike ride, going for a swim. That breaks down to just 30 minutes, 5 days a week. And what's amazing is you don't even have to do it all at once. 3 10-minute walks spread throughout the day give you the exact same incredible benefit. And that benefit is a reduction in your systolic blood pressure, that top number, by an average of 5 to 8 points. That is a significant medication-level impact just from moving your body. And this number here is just so direct and motivating. For every single kilogram of excess weight you lose, and that's about 2.2 pounds for us, your blood pressure can be expected to drop by about 1 millimeter of mercury. This shows a direct linear relationship. It's clear cause and effect that you can influence. This is where you have direct control. Every healthy choice you make, every pound you manage to lose through sustainable habits, has a measurable positive impact on the pressure inside your arteries. Now, let's talk about alcohol. For those who drink, moderation is everything. Limiting your intake to no more than 1 drink per day for women or 2 for men can lower your blood pressure by about 4 points. But it is a true double-edged sword. If you go over that amount, especially with binge drinking, you can cause a sharp, significant spike in blood pressure and even make blood pressure medications less effective. It's a really clear case where less is definitely more for your heart's health. Okay, Red, but let's press pause and be realistic for a moment. This is our 10% contrary commentary. It's so easy for us to sit here and show these clean numbers on a slide. Lose X weight for Y result, exercise Z minutes and you get this benefit. But actually doing this stuff in the middle of a chaotic life with work and family and bills and constant stress, that's the real battle. For a lot of people, just hearing exercise more, eat better can feel overwhelming and honestly a little dismissive of their daily reality.
That is an incredibly important point, Shelby. Thank you for saying that. It absolutely can be challenging, and nobody should feel like a failure if it isn't easy. The key, the absolute secret, is to just reject the idea that you need some massive overnight transformation. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. It's about starting with one small, achievable step, a 10-minute walk after dinner, choosing water instead of a soda, saying no to that second drink. Every single small step is a victory, and those small victories build the momentum you need for real, lasting, meaningful change.
And one of the most powerful places to start making those small, victorious changes is right on your plate. What we choose to eat has a direct, profound, and relatively quick impact on our blood pressure. So, Red, let's get into the food we eat. How can what's on our plate actually help us fight high blood pressure?
That's the core of it, Shelby. And it leads us to the big, mandatory question we have to explore in this investigation. How can diet address high blood pressure causes and affect our mental and physical health? The answer is that food isn't just fuel, it's information. It gives our bodies the building blocks and the signals that can either promote inflammation and constriction in our arteries or promote relaxation and health. A healthy diet directly fights the very mechanisms that drive blood pressure up, and by nourishing our body correctly, we're also nourishing our brain, which has a huge impact on our mood, our focus, and our resilience to stress.
A perfect example of this in practice is the DASH diet, which stands for Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension. This isn't some trendy fad. It's one of the most rigorously studied and scientifically proven eating plans on the entire planet. Following it can lower systolic blood pressure by up to 11 points. That's an effect comparable to some medications. And as you can see, it's not about deprivation at all. It's a plan rich in fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, and it emphasizes minerals like potassium, calcium, and magnesium. And why are those minerals so important, Red? Great question. Think of them as the maintenance crew for your cardiovascular system. Potassium helps your body balance fluids and get rid of excess sodium. Magnesium helps your blood vessels relax and widen, and calcium is critical for proper blood vessel contraction and relaxation. Together, they keep the entire system running smoothly and flexibly. And that brings us to this constant battle being waged inside our bodies, this tug of war between sodium and potassium. Most of us get way too much sodium, which is usually hidden in processed and restaurant foods. Excess sodium makes your body hold on to extra fluid, which increases the volume of blood in your vessels and drives up pressure. It also contributes to making your arteries stiff over time. Potassium is the natural antidote to this. It actively helps your kidneys flush out that excess sodium, and it works to relax the walls of your blood vessels. So the strategy is pretty simple in concept. Dramatically reduce packaged, processed foods to cut your sodium, and intentionally eat more whole foods rich in potassium, like bananas, spinach, sweet potatoes, and avocados. Which brings us to another critical question we have to address. Can diet, supplements, or medicine improve our heart health while supporting optimum physical performance? People sometimes worry that managing a health condition means they have to compromise on their goals or their vitality. And the answer is a resounding absolute yes. In fact, the opposite is true. I want you to think of it this way. A healthy heart is the powerful, efficient engine that drives your performance in everything you do. By fueling that engine with a heart-healthy diet, using targeted supplements where necessary, and appropriate medication under a doctor's guidance, you are not just managing a condition. You are optimizing your body's core system, and that unlocks your full potential for energy, endurance, and overall well-being. And that holistic view of health naturally leads us beyond just the physical stuff like diet and exercise. The connection between our mental and emotional state and our cardiovascular health is undeniable, it's powerful, and it's far too often overlooked in conventional approaches. Absolutely. We've talked about the body, but what about the mind? This brings us to our next mandatory question. What are the key elements for managing high blood pressure that go beyond just diet and exercise? Well, a massive element is stress. Chronic, unmanaged stress keeps your body bathed in hormones like cortisol, which keeps you in a constant state of fight or flight. Physiologically, this constricts your blood vessels, forcing your heart to pump harder and raising your blood pressure. But the reverse is also true. When you actively relax through practices like meditation or deep breathing, you're not just calming your mind, you're sending a direct signal to your nervous system to ease up, which in turn allows your blood vessels to widen and your blood pressure to physically drop. Techniques like mindfulness have been shown to lower it by about 5 points. And I think it's vital to add that this is deeply personal. For one person, it might be quiet meditation. For another, it's gardening, or playing music, walking in nature, or just laughing with friends. The specific activity is less important than its genuine effect, truly de-stressing your mind and your body. You're listening to OOOTT, with research by author Paul Bulow. And we can't talk about the mind-body connection without talking about sleep. It's during sleep that our body does its most important repair work, and that includes for our cardiovascular system. Consistently getting less than 7 hours of quality sleep a night is a significant and independent risk factor for developing high blood pressure. Good sleep hygiene, like the tips you see here, isn't a luxury. It's a non-negotiable part of heart health. And we have to mention sleep apnea here. This is a condition where your breathing repeatedly stops and starts during sleep, which starves your body of oxygen and sends stress signals through your system all night long. It is a major and often undiagnosed cause of hard-to-treat high blood pressure. If you snore loudly and you feel exhausted even after a full night's sleep, I urge you, please get it checked out. Getting a diagnosis and treatment can be absolutely life-changing, not just for your blood pressure, but for your energy, your mental clarity, and your overall well-being. So let's bring all of this together. We've explored the problem, the numbers, and the powerful tools you have at your disposal. Now let's synthesize all this knowledge into a clear, actionable plan. Because let's be honest, knowledge without action is just trivia. This is where we have to state a core truth of this whole investigation. Understanding and identifying high blood pressure and making healthy daily choices for diet, behaviors, and medical care is critical to our physical and mental health and recovery from hypertension. Let's make this simple and direct. Your action plan has 4 steps. 1. Monitor at home. An automated arm cuff monitor is an inexpensive and invaluable tool to see what your pressure is doing in your real life, away from the doctor's office. 2. Partner with your doctor. They are your co-pilot in this journey. 3. Choose one healthy habit. Don't try to change everything at once. Pick one small thing and start today. And 4. Be open about medication. It is not a sign of failure. It's a powerful, proven tool to protect your health. At its heart, This is all about a fundamental principle we need to state. Managing diet, nutrition, exercise, and sleep aligns our bodies for both mental and physical success. Exactly. And this entire approach fosters what we should call a high blood pressure health mindset. It's a profound shift from seeing your health as something that just happens to you, to seeing it as something you actively create, one choice at a time. This mindset is built on another core statement. A high blood pressure health mindset suggests our body's health is connected to our daily choices, our diet, our actions, our nutrition, getting sunlight and fresh air, and even the alignment of our thoughts, words, and actions. It's a health mindset that can be linked to an overall healthy body.
So we will leave you with this final empowering question. We've covered the risks, the numbers, the science, and the strategies, but you know what? It all comes down to a single moment of decision made by you. Looking at everything we've talked about, what is the one single choice you will make today to begin your journey toward a healthier tomorrow? This has been OOTO TV with research by author Paul Bulow. Thank you for listening.